In the serene mountains of West Africa, the young hunter Benson was known for his skill and bravery. One evening, while returning from a successful hunt, he noticed a radiant maiden standing by the riverbank. Her beauty was unlike anything he had ever seen. Her skin glowed faintly in the dim light of dusk, and her eyes shimmered with the soft glow of the moon. Benson, captivated by her presence, approached cautiously, unsure if she was real or a vision from the spirits. The maiden introduced herself as Vivian, and though her voice was gentle, it held a mysterious quality. They spoke briefly, and Benson found himself enchanted by her every word. As night fell, Vivian vanished into the shadows, leaving Benson in awe. He couldn't shake the feeling that there was something otherworldly about her, but his heart was already captured. In the days that followed, Benson searched tirelessly for Vivian, returning to the riverbank each evening. When she finally appeared again, her smile was sad, and she warned him to stay away. She revealed her true identity. Vivian was no ordinary maiden, but the moon goddess, who descended to Earth only at dusk to experience the fleeting joys of mortal life. She warned Benson that their connection could not last. If he continued to seek her out, she would be forced to return to the heavens forever. Despite her warning, Benson refused to give up. His heart burned with desire, and he vowed to win her love, believing that if he could prove himself worthy, she would stay. The goddess, torn between her duty and the stirrings of love in her own heart, vanished again, leaving Benson determined to pursue her, no matter the cost. Benson knew that Vivian's heart could not be won easily. To impress her, he decided to become the greatest hunter his village had ever seen. Every day, he ventured deeper into the forest, hunting the fiercest beasts and gathering rarest trophies. His skills sharpened, and soon the villagers spoke of his unmatched prowess. But even as he achieved success, the image of Vivian lingered in his mind, reminding him that no earthly achievement would guarantee her love. Nevertheless, Benson pressed on, certain that the strength of his devotion would bring her back to him. As the moon grew fuller each night, Benson noticed a strange pull in the air. The villagers whispered of the moon goddess's increasing presence, and the animals in the forest grew restless. On the night of the full moon, Benson returned to the riverbank, hoping to see Vivian once again. To his surprise, she appeared, her glow brighter than ever before. Benson poured out his heart, telling her of the great feats he had accomplished in her name. But Vivian's expression was somber. She reminded him of her warning. The more he sought her, the closer she came to returning to the heavens forever. Benson, blinded by love, refused to listen, convinced that his persistence would win her over. High in the celestial realm, the gods watched Vivian with growing concern. Her bond with Benson was becoming stronger, and they feared that if she stayed on Earth for too long, she would lose her divinity. Vivian, torn between her duty as a goddess and the emotions she had begun to feel, knew that her time on Earth was running out. She confronted Benson once more, this time pleading with him to stop his pursuit. She explained that love, in its truest form, required understanding and sacrifice. If he truly cared for her, he would let her go. But Benson's heart was stubborn, and he begged her to stay, even as the full moon began to fade. Determined to prove his love, Benson embarked on a final hunt. He had heard of a legendary lion that roamed the deepest parts of the forest, a beast so fierce that no hunter had ever returned from pursuing it. Benson believed that if he could defeat the lion, Vivian would see that his love was worthy of the gods themselves. Days passed as Benson tracked the lion, pushing himself to his limits. When he finally faced the beast, it was more terrifying than he had imagined. But with skill and courage, Benson defeated the lion, emerging victorious. He returned to the village, wounded but triumphant, certain that Vivian would now choose him. Benson returned to the riverbank, lion's pelt in hand, and called out to Vivian. When she appeared, her beauty seemed even more distant, as if she was already slipping away. Benson showed her the pelt, but instead of joy, her eyes filled with sorrow. She told him that no feat, no matter how great, could change the fact that she belonged to the heavens. In that moment, Benson realized the bitter truth. He had been chasing something that could never be his. Vivian's heart was not his to win, for she was bound to the sky and the stars. Devastated, he fell to his knees, but Vivian lifted him gently, her touch soft as moonlight. Vivian spoke softly, telling Benson that true love is not about possession or conquest. It is about understanding, sacrifice, and, when necessary, letting go. She praised his bravery and his devotion, but reminded him that love cannot be forced. With tears in her eyes, Vivian told him that she would soon return to the heavens, where she belonged. Benson, his heart heavy, understood at last. He had been selfish in his pursuit, blinded by his desire to keep Ao on Earth. In a final act of love, he told her that he would let her go, even though it would break his heart. Vivian smiled sadly, touched by his growth, and promised him that his village would be blessed for generations to come. As the moon rose high in the sky, Vivian began to fade. Benson watched, his heart aching, as the woman he loved disappeared into the night, returning to the heavens where she belonged. The sky seemed to glow brighter than ever before, as if the stars themselves were welcoming her back. Though Benson was filled with sorrow, he also felt a sense of peace. He had learned that love was not about holding on to something unattainable, but about cherishing what is and letting go when the time comes. As Vivi vanished from his sight, a soft breeze carried her final blessing to him. His village would know prosperity, peace, and the favor of the gods for generations. In the years that followed, Benson became a revered elder in his village, known not only for his skill as a hunter, but also for his wisdom. The village prospered, the crops flourished, and the people lived in harmony, all thanks to the blessing of the moon goddess. Each night, as the moon rose high above the mountains, the villagers would gather to tell the story of Benson and the goddess, a tale of love, sacrifice, and the beauty of letting go. Benson never forgot Vivian, but he no longer longed for her. He had learned that love, even when it cannot be held, can still shape the future in profound ways. And so, under the light of the moon, Benson's legacy lived on, carried by the stars and whispered in the wind.